Yo guys, what is going on? Nickname is just Yellow, and today this Norwegian hardcore PC gamer, aside from boiling to death in the sun and thus having the window open, which is gonna make some noise, I'm gonna go through trade-up stuff, and yeah, that's gonna be kind of crazy because I've learned a lot about trade-ups because of this new tool that is out there. And when you go through the fine details, which will allow you to not only predict what you can get in a trade-up, but also if you go through the stuff properly, you can predict it even further and also generate skins that might in some cases look even better than what you should get, and thus, you know, you generate a little bit of profit. But that is not really new news. You can be able to get some serious profit, even more so easier with this tool right here because of its nice little possibilities of things that you can do with it. So here we are on CSGO Exchange. You can link this webpage up to your inventory just to fiddle around in a theoretical sense with what items you have. And with our new tool, which is essentially a trade-up contract algorithm that you can thus select 10 items in your inventory with, and then you can click here and get the assumed prediction items that you might get from picking 10 items. With this tool, you can, yeah, you can pretty much get a nice picture of what you will get. However, the tool is not perfect, and I'm going to not only talk about those imperfections, but I'm going to give you people a nice picture of what you can be able to do with it to alter the outcome even further. So the first thing we need to understand is that every single item in Counter-Strike Global Offensive has a unique float value number set to its wear grade, making every single item unique in terms of how damaged it will be. There is also an in-between damage thus within every grade, meaning that you can get nice battle-scarred skins and terrible-looking battle-scarred skins. However, the algorithm related to this entire system also alter things even further, because if you want to trade up 10 items, not only does it add together all the 10 values, the float grade values of each of these items, but then it creates an average that will be set for the last skin. However, then again, based on that average, it will choose which skin in the next step of the collection that is relevant, or collections, you can mix whatever you want together. The final outcome thus will be, in most cases, something that will be related to that final number. So what we then can learn is that if you, for example, replace skin number 2 and 1 that you added to that collection, which are terribly looking, with 2 equally cheap factory new skins, for example, while you then are adding a 20% possibility of making that trade up something related to those 2 items, you still then have an 80% chance of getting an item that have a way higher average degree of wear related to those other 8 items. And thus it means that you have a bigger chance of getting some nicer items that might have an even better nice look on them in the end of the day because of this system. Which essentially is the best way of abusing all of this, even though, again, there's still a 20% chance that it can all go down the trash, which is kind of lame, but that is a risk that we're all taking. Another thing that you might then have understood is that this percentage right here shown is not right at all. It becomes more correct the better looking all these skins have related to their float value, as is called right here, because of the higher the average will be, the closer you will be to the next grade, and even more so, after each and every trade up, there's added on top a couple of extra positive numbers, rather, which means that the outcome skin is not only based on the average, but it's always a little bit better, always a little tad better looking than what the average would be. This is nice and good because it allows you to get even more value out of the skin because it just looks better. And also, in best scenarios, if you go in and cherry pick from the market, for example, every single skin that you want to trade up, and then you add that stuff I talked about earlier, you can be able to twist the outcome towards even better looking skins that, because of that, can look really nice, and you can get even more value of them, out of them. Now, how the hell do you exactly do that? It's skill required, believe me or not, and we'll get to that right now. So let's say that you want to pick up a couple of anodized Navy MP7 skins on the market, but you don't really know how to cherry pick them based on how they look, and thus related to how damaged they are. A nice way to do this is to go here on CSGO Stash, And I would not recommend to get a skin or choose from skins that are only this much wear. Like you can barely get it in minimal wear, because it's very hard to distinguish exactly how damaged it is, and thus on this little scale where it should be put. However, you can still do it if you drag on this little movie thing right here. You can see the further we go to the left, the less damage there will be here close to the little trigger there. Yeah, also, you know, around the edges and stuff like that. And by looking at those, you can thus, you know, develop a library of scratches on different guns, for example, on the market. And thus you can technically get good at cherry-picking skins on the market, making it a skill, which is kind of funny. And then, again, you can move over to, you know, pick the skins, make the trade-ups. And because you have this nice ability, you're thus cherry-picking and increasing the general float value of the skins related, which is really hard with the P2000, by the way, so I don't recommend doing it with that one. And thus, when you then have the skins, you can go here, you can synchronize up your inventory, you can click here on the contract, you can see the percentages, for example, if you want to, and the end result will be based on a gamble, but at least it's a lot more controlled, and even more so if the skins look better, because, you know, you can get this outcome. So just to wrap up everything I've said here, if you, for example, are trading up only factory new items, this percentage here will be thus correct, but not if you only trade up battle scarred items, because, you know, by where this one right here appear more often in a lower grade, and thus it becomes more available for that kind of trade up. You need to be aware of these smaller details if you want to really do this, and thus be able to get a better outcome. Anyways, thanks for watching. This was a recap of that little stream I got. I've learned a lot. And also keep in mind, have your inventory very tidy. Is that how you say it? If you want to be able to do this, because it can be quite messy and thus even more annoying if you want to stack up your inventory like me. So that is not recommended. Either way, thanks for watching. If you want to support this YouTube channel, we got the Patreon page. So if you want to play with me or other things, you can go and read there. And yeah, thanks for supporting either way. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and don't get beastified when you play, people.